cuts to the truth, no matter how painful it might be, and no BS. Citizen Smith, Citizen Smith, Citizen Smith.
Here is a man who would not take it anymore. A man who stood up against the scum, the dogs, the filth. Here is someone who stood up.
It's time for Citizen Smith.
Hey, how are you today? It is Citizen Smith here at TalkCast PDX. Every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9:30, soon to be 9 to 10 when I get ambitious and ready to rock for an hour every weekday here in the Rose City of Portland, Oregon. I like calling it the Rose City. Has a nice ring to it, especially when it was rated one of the top 10 cities to live in America? Really? Well, this according to U.S. News and World Report. When the hell did they do this survey? Before the pandemic? I don't know how you can say a city is in the top 10 with riots every day and every week, a really bad homeless problem, drugs are bad, there's gangs and violence. Top 10? I love Portland, don't get me wrong, we all do. That's why we're here. But top 10? A, let's clean up the homeless problem and find them places to live. B, let's address violence and rioters and clean up the streets there. C, let's get some more police on the force because we don't have enough patrolling the neighborhoods. I'm not here to defund the police. I'd like to see a few more on the streets protecting our neighborhoods because it's an issue. People try to get a hold of the police to address an emergency situation, and they can't because there are about 800 police officers in a force that used to have over 1,000. Top 10? Who the hell did this survey at USA World News? U.S. News and World Report. Come on. Boulder, Colorado, number 1. Raleigh and Durham, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, 2. Huntsville, Alabama, 3. Fayetteville, Arizona, 4. Austin, Texas, 5. Colorado Springs, 6. Naples, Florida, 7th. Lived there at one time. Portland, Maine, 8. Sarasota, Florida, 9. And then Portland, Oregon, 10. I won't be too harsh on Portland, okay? I think it's a beautiful city. It's got everything going for it. It's got the Willamette River. It's got anytime you have a river flowing through your city, you got a good city. Water makes people happy. And they have a river walk around the river. And it's fantastic. It's got 5 bridges or so right in the immediate area that you can walk over all of them, including one that's only for pedestrians. And every time you walk over the Morrison Bridge or the Burnside Bridge, you have wonderful walkways. Very bikeable city. And very pedestrian friendly. A lot of food, restaurants, wonderful Central Park area, the Parkway through the downtown district, museums all around that area. Very beautiful, well laid out, pedestrian friendly, enjoyable. Yes, it could be top 10, no problem, when they fix the problems, and they're severe. Homeless people living in the streets, trash is filthy. They got to start, you know what? They need to add more, before they add anything, add more trash pickup crew. This city needs more of that. They're paying the homeless people to do it. They need some city workers to do it. Well, the contractors that we have servicing the city, it needs to be increased. The trash is way out of control. It's a filthy, filthy city when it comes to certain neighborhoods with trash, and you know it and I know it. Central East Side is the worst where I live. In certain areas. Now you can walk up the hill a little bit and go north, or I should say you go east, and you will see the trash suddenly disappear. But you get down in near the roads and the highways and the overpasses, and the trash is everywhere. So let's clean up the city a little bit more before we're a top 10. Great cafes. You know, they could call Portland Coffee City because there's more cafes in this city than I've ever seen. I thought Seattle had the most. Portland has the most. And they got the best coffee. I mean, everybody is a coffee roaster here. There's no such thing as walking into a cafe and having their coffee without them roasting it too. It's like every one of them has her own roasting operation, which is fantastic. And that's the thing about Portland. They say it's weird, but I'll go one step further and say Portland's kind of an eccentric, meticulous city about having the best. We're not just going to serve coffee. We're going to roast our own beans, then serve it. and they have some fantastic, they get beans from all over the world. They're wonderful descriptions on what you're getting. Yeah, very organic oriented, single origin beans. So you can go on a voyage of discovery just for coffee and cafes in Portland, and it's a wonderful, they should have a cafe coffee tour operation. And you go to the different cafes trying the different coffee. I'm slowly discovering the best ones. And I will tell you, the one right down my street, Kova, to me so far is number one coffee cafe. I'm getting a little snobby. I thought Portland Roasters would be fine. I was corrected, and Kova is certainly better. And they got an incredible selection of beans that they, of course, roast. So Portland, yes, is a wonderful city. I would say I've lived in many cities around the country. I think next to Boston, Portland, to me, are my favorite cities, followed by Seattle. I think those three cities, Seattle has the coast, Boston has the coast, Portland has the river. Portland's a very civil city. People in Portland, for the most part, are extremely polite, unless they're the ones that try to run you over and kill you. Or if you walk when there's a do not walk sign, there will be hostility from drivers, yelling at you, threatening you. They take those things very serious. You don't walk across the street unless the sign says it's okay to walk. Strictly enforced by the drivers of the city. So it's got the wonderful river. It's a river city. That's one of its nicknames, and it's a fantastic river, the Willamette. You just go 25 miles outside of Portland, you've got Willamette Valley and some of the finest Pinot Noir in the world. Wine tasting at your doorstep. You go another 25 miles, you're heading around almost on the coast. It's about 75 miles. So you've got the beautiful coast, very accessible. You've got the mountains on the other side. You've got the cafes. You've got the food. You've got the river and the parkways. There's a river parkway, by the way, that's fantastic. Beautiful green all along the river and a bike path and walking path. Fantastic. Cafes and hotels overlooking the river. I'd say the best in the country for a river city and its aesthetics. It's got it all. Let's just clean up the homeless problem. Get more police so security is better. Clean up the streets, and we'll be good to go as a top 10. And then I might put you in the top 5. But if you come to Portland now in the summertime and you stay in the Pearl District or downtown district, you'll have a good time. It is a fun city. They know how to have a good time in Portland. They got a lot of movie theaters downtown, live entertainment theaters, a lot of them, more than I've ever seen. Hopefully they all reopen now that the pandemic's under control. So from a theater standpoint, fantastic city for local theater. Better than I've ever seen anywhere else. Restaurants, perfection. If they don't do it perfectly in the back kitchen, cooking it and serving it, then they won't do it at all. Right now, we're having a little problem. Servers are down, staffing's down, so you're not getting the best experience. But when they're at the top of their game, ain't a better place in America to have a restaurant dish than Portland, Oregon. And I don't say that because I'm living here and schmoozing. I'm saying it because it's true. I lived in Seattle, Boston, L.A., great cities. New York, I've been to New York. They're the best. You never beat New York. But Portland, I'd say they're better than Seattle. The restaurants, the cuisine, the diversity, the service. Yeah, it's one of the top 3 in America, you could say. L.A.'s got a great scene, too. Boston's got a fantastic restaurant scene. But I don't know. Portland's a little more smaller scale and relaxed. And the food here is fantastic. But they got to up their game to where they were before the pandemic because things have slipped. They don't have the cooks, the chefs, the servers. When all this comes together, then I put you in the top 10, and you can move up Portland to the top spot in America to live. Affordable rent, it's a little high here. $1,500 on average for a 1-bedroom. That's what you're looking at. And that means parking, too. You could be as high as $1,700 for parking with the apartment because parking is a problem in Portland. So if you get an apartment, you better get an apartment in a building where they have parking underground because it's a bitch trying to find parking spaces on the street. So it's pedestrian friendly, but not parking friendly. And that is how I will conclude this segment of Portland as number 10 in this poll by U.S. World News and I should say U.S. News and World Report. Now for some sombering news. I hate to bring it up, but it's something, I've been keeping my eye on, and there's no way to ignore it. It's here. It's a problem, and it's going to remain a problem. The U.S. drugs overdose deaths has soared in the past year to 30%. In 2020. COVID-19 pandemic caused major drug use. Portland is a problem with drugs too, I should say that. And across America, we've been dealing with overdoses for years. It's just something we just can't get a handle on. We can't stop young kids from taking drugs. And we're talking some seriously toxic stuff. They estimate now that the toll of 2020 drug overdoses, 93,331 deaths from drug overdoses in the past year. A record high. And these are young people. Didn't even have a chance at life. Last year, the year prior to that, 72,151 deaths in 2019. Overdoses. This from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention data. And they're saying that this year's increase represents the sharpest annual increase in at least 3 decades in America for overdoses and deaths. 30-year high. They say the proliferation is due to fentanyl, a powerful synthetic opioid that's used with other drugs, and it's spread across the nation into every corner and nook and cranny. The pandemic shut down. People got isolated, stressed, lost jobs, deaths in their family. Who knows? Mainly the isolation. They're stuck in a home. They got a drug problem or addiction. And it just fuels itself while you're in the home by yourself or with some other people living with you. And you're all addicts now? Well, you're bored. You're sitting at your house. Let's open up the drug canister. And they're saying an estimated 57,550 people died of overdoses from synthetic opioids. And again, primarily fentanyl, the cause, an increase of more than 54% from 2019. So you add the pandemic and the drug overdoses in America, and we're looking at quite a few people that died in this country. 377,000 people passed away. 377,883 deaths from COVID-19. And also, COVID-19 was the third leading cause of death in the U.S. in 2020. Not the number one cause, the third. First cause of deaths in America, heart disease. Second, cancer. Then COVID. Sombering. These are the things that are killing Americans. Heart disease. Diet. Take some statins, man. I take atorvastatin, cholesterol reducer, the silent killer. You got to monitor yourself, though, right? You got to get on the blood lab tests like every 6 months and really keep track of yourself. If you got high cholesterol, man, you got to stay on top of it. It's the silent killer. Plaque buildup in the arteries, and you're in trouble. Diabetes, causing heart disease. So that's people talk about, this and that killing people, but, heart disease is one of the most manageable things I would think out there, that you could take control of your life. Cancer, they're making strides in that area, but slow but surely. But this drug overdosing, I don't know how do you nip this one? Deaths surging. 93,331 overdoses. I look at the homeless people in the streets of Portland and I wonder to myself, how many are they overdosing in every month? What are the numbers? You don't get them. It's kind of like under the radar. They're all hiring something. You see them passed out in the street. I don't know what the death toll is. I'd like to know what the death toll is in the country for homeless people who are ODing on the sidewalks and streets while they live out there. I bet you it's significant. They're the quiet ones that you don't know about. They don't make it into the statistics. I bet you the deaths are much higher than the statistics are showing, because how many are well documented after the fact? Got to test every one of them. So I hate to bring that story up, but it's out there. And every time I go to a different community, everybody says, oh yeah, drugs are a problem. Every community, I don't care where you go, drugs are a problem. We are one addicted country when it comes to drugs. We love drugs in America. We have been dealing with this for so long. They legalized cannabis to at least get rid of that issue for most places now. But you've got the hardcore drugs. That's been going on for my whole life, since I was in college. It started with like cocaine back then. Then it went to, heroin. And now we're into these fentanyl synthetic drugs. More dangerous than ever. How do you beat this problem in America? How do you correct it? I don't think you can. I just think it's one of those things that's always going to be around generation to generation. Not to seem futile, but I just don't see how you beat it. There's always going to be the addicts. There's always going to be the drugs. And they're only getting stronger every year, every decade. And that means more and more overdoses. You got to be crazy to take that shit, man. I don't know how people do it. I'd be scared to death to touch it. I don't even like smoking cannabis, mind-altering drug. I know people love it and they advocate it, but I don't like it. I'm just not. I like it straight and sober in life, when it comes to reality and enjoying it. I don't like any kind of mind-altering stuff. Alcohol, have a martini, maybe a nice scotch on the rocks, a glass of wine or two, or 3. But that's it for me. I don't like mind-altering heavy-duty drugs. I've avoided it my whole life. I just fear it. I've seen people overdose. I've not in the room, but you read about it enough. You see actors and Hollywood stars go overdosing, and they're ones that are high profile. But you say, geez, how did a guy like John Belushi overdose? And I saw his documentary. I'm like, damn, I never knew the guy was that hooked. And when you see a sorry story like that and a sad story of a great comedian that you loved, it gets me thinking. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to go there. All right, let's go to one last topic here on not the show. I mean, I don't mean to lie. We're still running a little short here in time, but international travel. Okay, I just want to bring this up because I don't know if you're thinking of getting outside the country in this pandemic, because it's tough to get outside America anyway, right? Because we have cities in other countries like London where you have to be quarantined for 10 days when you arrive. Like Ray was telling me when he went out there. Who the hell wants to travel outside the country and take that chance? 10 days in a hotel? And then you can leave? He didn't do it. He just went out anyway. But and I would think most people just do that. I mean, nobody's going to stop you. But if you are thinking of getting out of the country and going to a wonderful place like Greece that's open for everybody to come, especially from America, they said, come on over to Greece. Just bring a little card that says you got vaccinated. You're good to go. No quarantine. Have fun. But if you want a passport and you got to update it, that's not an easy thing to do right now. I think I got one more year on mine. But if you need a passport, you're in a long wait. The time frame to receive a passport right now, 18 weeks. From the time you get in there and fill out the application, get your photo taken, to the time you receive it in the mailbox, 18 weeks. That's 4.5 months. And if you want to expedite it, 12 weeks, 3 months for processing and 6 weeks for 12 weeks. Well, for the 18 weeks, it's 12 weeks processing time, 6 weeks for mailing. And if you want to expedite it, the best you can do right now is 3 months, 12 weeks. Pre-pandemic, it only took 2 to 3 weeks for expedited passports and applications to be completed, and 6 to 8 weeks for the regular application. So they've got a problem in the passport administration, not enough staff right now. Plan ahead, man. If you want to go on vacation, give yourself 6 months, I would say, before you head on that plane, if you need a passport. They got a backlog of 1.5 million people to 2 million applications. A backlog of 2 million. Turnaround times, they say, will decrease as soon as staffing is addressed and increased. Well, hopefully they get going on that. I was going to get my new passport this year, but obviously that's not going to happen. So I'm looking at 2022 for my new passport. So I'll see if I can get one then. I'm not going to wait 4 months. I guess if I don't plan on going anywhere this year, it might be actually a good time to do it. So what if I have to wait? Maybe this, but I mean, I've got one more year left, I believe, on it. Yeah, you don't want to wait to that final year. You always want to get your passport done before that final. Good for 10 years. Got a little chip in them now, That one I got has a little chip in it. When they scan it, all your ID information comes up. I wonder what their latest technology is. I'm sure they updated it. Oh, that's good. All right, last but not least. Now, final segment. I got to talk about this one. It's fantastic. Could be good news for us here at TalkCast PDX and Citizen Smith. Facebook is now going to start paying content creators. Fantastic. The $1 billion, they're going to set aside $1 billion to use to pay content creators on their network, on their social networks. The $1 billion total also reflects the bar set by pledges previously announced by Snap, Snapchat, Google, YouTube, ByteDance, and TikTok are all paying now for content creators. They didn't put out what numbers you have to hit, but Facebook says creators can receive payments for hitting certain milestones, but they didn't detail what those milestones are. I'd like to know. Wonder if there's a way of finding out. And this program starts on invitation only. So they're monitoring you on their platform. So TalkCast PDX has a Facebook platform. It's very popular. It's where we get most of our views right now instead of our website. Hopefully we get to the website views and the Facebook views at the same numbers. But for example, my show on average right now, has been doing about 20,000 plus views on Facebook. So does Facebook count the views when they're assessing whether they pay you or not? Or do you have to have a click-through and a play? What do you think, Michael? Do you think it's just views that they'll base this on before they pay you? Like you get 50,000 views and then they'll pay you? What is the thing they really want to see on Facebook social network platforms? You don't know?
Now that most people are opting out of being followed, being tracked, app tracking, they're having to come up with some new ideas, I think, to monetize the platform. Because 75% of people are opting out of the ad tracking now with the new iOS.
If you're a creator, though, and you're after monetizing what you do, like this show, I don't care if they track me, right? We don't care if they're tracking us on Facebook if we're doing shows. If our shows are on Facebook, which they are, all our video shows especially are on the Facebook platform. So we're the creator. The host is part of that creation. Talkcast PDX produces podcasts and talk shows. We put them on platforms like YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, and our own website, of course, talkcastpdx.com. So now, since Facebook is I'm doing my most views on Facebook, like I said, 20,000 plus. When the heck what do they need from me? I'm a creator. I'm an individual creating a show on this network. I want money. I just wonder if I'm there. Am I gonna get a little check in the mail from Facebook that says, congratulations, Citizen Smith. Here's $500. Wouldn't that be nice? That's what they're doing. They're trying to look good, too, because, Congress has been on their back about, their monopoly on advertising and not playing fair ball and taking money. We do pay Facebook for advertising boosts. Not a lot, and it really helps. And Facebook is a great platform for creators like myself and other shows here to gather momentum and build views. They have a massive global reach, 2.72 billion users every day. That's enormous. That's the average use on its platforms, including Instagram, which they own. Other companies like TikTok are also paying. They set aside $2 billion that they're going to invest in creators. YouTube said in May they're going to set aside a $100 million fund to be distributed to creators of unique 60-second videos called Shorts. Alphabet, Google, parent company Alphabet, they said they have a fund of more than $30 billion that they've already paid out to creators, artists, and media companies over the past 3 years. We're a media company with new. We're a creator of content, albeit new. When are we going to get our check? Where's our money coming from? Also, they said they were going to be setting up funding for helping the creation of new content. So I wonder how we get that. Where was that? I read that. I was like, wow, this could be great for us. You can programs that will start on an invitation-only basis, Facebook said, without providing details such as timing or qualifications needed to participate. This is from a Wall Street Journal article I'm reading, which is what I utilize a lot for business news. So TikTok said last year that its creator fund would invest more $2 billion in content creators worldwide over the next 3 years. All right. Well, we'll see how much of that money filters to us, if possible. We're new, so we are still building our audience and programs. Right now, Talkcast PDX we're going over, we have over 20 shows right now. All by Portland hosts, produced in Portland, on TalkCast PDX, the network for Portland podcasting and talk shows. That does it for today's show. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to Citizen Smith.